guys today? Everybody good?
Yeah. Good.
How
All right.
about you?
I'm doing great. Feeling good. Feeling excited. It's a great process again. So I want to start similar to how I did last year. I want to acknowledge the people that make this whole thing go. The lifeblood of the organization, the scouts, the college scouts to start with, Byron Kiefer, Andy Spire, Antoine Murray, Tony Hardy, Donovan Cotton, Brian McLaughlin, Mark Allen, Cesar Rivera, and Zach Smith. This is really their show. They dedicate so much time to this. They dedicate 11 months to this. We appreciate all their efforts. It's really admirable. And again, I said it last year, they signed up for this. This is they love it, but it's a tough job on them. It requires a lot. Our pro department, who does a great job assisting, Shane Scannell, Alex Smith, Sean Conley. Sean actually does both college and pro. Our scouting assistants, our scouting analysts, Shannon, Peyton, Corey, and Emmett. A million POAs, again. Anything we need, they do an awesome job. Our IT department, Spencer Dill and Joey Larwa, who I swear if the scouting system went down, we could not do it. So Spencer Dill is really a rock star today. He probably doesn't know how valuable he is. He should probably hold out on the day of the draft one day and make a lot more money. Duke Preston and Tyler Thompson, who helped us with interviews and really added an extra layer to it and a new perspective, which we really appreciate. Really appreciate them. Our medical staff, Bobby, Dutchie, John, Sammy, all the doctors who pour through so many reports. And if I could show you guys the database that they create, it's incredible. So on top of the doctors doing their other jobs, which are also immensely important too. Our football admin department with Jackie and Greeny, who are amazing with the support they give us, the direction they give us. They are amazing with the undrafted free agency that's going on right now. Shelton Quarles, who arranges so many different things, and anywhere you need him, he is. We appreciate him. The two directors, Rob McCartney, who rock star with everything. It's amazing how much he knows, how much he can compartmentalize, and he's a genius, I think, sometimes. And then Mike Beal, who I again said last year was the rock star, he's the rock star again. We cannot do this without Mike. So Jason and I really appreciate all those people. I want to thank the families of all those guys and girls too. They give up more than I think most people realize, and they sacrifice a lot. It's hard to be the spouse of a scout, and those women and those men and those relationships, they don't get enough credit for what they do. So we appreciate all the families out there. The coaches, it was awesome to work with them again. Obviously, we've got a lot of rapport with Todd and the defensive staff, but having Liam come in and being collaborative with Liam and the new people here was great. They provided us with a lot of insight with what they're looking for, which is exactly what we're looking for as scouts. So helps us do our job. The video department, Brett Green and his staff, who they're amazing at how fast they get I remember, 20 years ago it was beta tapes, and now it's like, Michigan plays Ohio State, it's in there the next day. So everything they do, Brad Berlin and his staff, the local pro day, it's, 75 shirts and shorts and, everything they do, we appreciate them. And then certainly the Glazer family for giving us the resources to do our jobs the way it needs to be done. Whatever we need, we get, and, without them and without that empowerment, it's tough to do our jobs. We have that, so it's great. And then I'm going to give you the numbers again. We have 16,522 players in our college system right now. We wrote 3,154 reports on 1,466 players. So a lot of work to end up with 7 players and an extra 15-ish, depending how free agency solves itself up there in the last little bit. But, it's what we do. And so it was an awesome experience, and I love them every year. It's my favorite time of the year, and appreciate all the people that make it work. So with that, time is yours.
John, with picking Bucky Irving, obviously 3 picks later, Liam Cohen's one of his running backs went. Was there any kind of back and forth in the room about with Liam and maybe some scouts, or was that already planned before the day, started? Tell me about that. What was Liam Cohen's influence, if any, with the Bucky Irving pick?
Yeah, we've hashed this all out well in advance, and the board gets set when it gets set, and we stick to it. So obviously Liam was, a big part of that. When you have a coach that, and we had several this year that came from college that had, kind of intimate knowledge of these players, you use that as much as you can. And so we had many, many discussions with Liam and everybody about all the players that they had run across or coached. And, at the end of the day, we stacked the board the way we stacked it, and we felt like Bucky was the right fit for us. So he was the pick.
You talk about Bucky just in terms of his elusiveness. He's a smaller guy, but no running back likes to be tackled. But this guy really does like.
No, it's we had him in on the visit. He told us the first guy doesn't tackle him, and I think that's what you're looking for as running backs, especially when they're not the biggest running backs, right? There's no secret here that Bucky he's not Christian Okoye, so he's not going to run through people's face all the time. But you look at his production, whether it was in Minnesota or Oregon, he's 6 yards a carry, so he's hard to get on the ground, and for a man that's less than 200 pounds, when you do hit him, which is hard to do, he's hard to knock off his feet. So he has a lot of qualities that we look for in a running back.
You went UW again today.
We cannot help ourselves. We just cannot. So
who's that scout?
it's all of us. We just love them. So they play in the Natty this year. So
Devin Cole, what did you like about him on tape?
Devin's a player. He's not the biggest body, but he can run with that 4.47 time. And when you feel him in the run game, he feels like a bigger body. I think we were almost surprised that when he weighed in at the combine, he was what he was, because he strains to finish his blocks. He has strength through his core and in his feet and in his balance that allows him to stick on blocks. And he's not going to displace the bigger defensive ends in our league, but he stays attached to them. And the pride he has when he blocks jumps off the film to you. And there's just some tight ends do that, sometimes tight ends don't, and you kind of expect that of bigger guys. You don't always expect it of guys that are, in their 240 or 230 or whatever we have on them. And, he can do a lot of different things. And then if you get him the ball in space running, he's, 4.47, and he's a hard tackle for DBs, and that's our goal. He's a little bit different than the guys we have in that room right now, so we felt like it was a good ad.
Went sexy again.
We did.
Today with Elijah Klein, talk about him. He seems like just a Bucs player. We had him in the media, doing a media interview with him. He got us all fired up. So just talk to us about him.
Yeah, I bet he did. He, it's like you think of UTEP, like what do you think of? And you're like, yeah, Elijah Klein. He's going to sell out, kind of like Graham. He's going to give you everything he's got. He's a big man. I think when he walks in, you see his shoulders, you see the girth to him. And he's another guy that, like Graham talked about the other day, he's out there to block his guy, and he's out there to finish his guy, and it's not personal. It's just my job is to protect the quarterback and to win the line of scrimmage, and he just does that over and over and over again. And, non-combine guy, a little bit under the radar, small town, kind of in between, I think, San Bernardino and L.A. out there. I'm not the best with geography out in L.A., but, he's the kind of guy that's earned it everywhere he's been, and he'll fit in great in that room. I know that.
This is the first year in 10 years that Jason Licht did not have.
Yeah, he's upset about it, I think, too.
Why he's not here?
Was it a different feel? It's always like best player available when you're picking, and did it more seem like you were able to just get your guys overall this year?
I think when there were guys that we refused to pass up on, we had trade offers. And then when there was situations where maybe we would think we can move back a couple picks and still get our guy, the phone didn't ring. So what are you going to do? You can't pass. That you guys would kill us if I was down here talking about passing. So we picked our guys, and we were excited to do it. It's just the way it goes sometimes. But, all great streaks, I think, are meant to be broken, and we'll have to start a new streak next year.
You already have the Carlton trade, too. That wasn't a draft.
Yeah, count that one. Let's do that.
Who kept him sane during that 95 pick span and not itching to trade up? Because that must have been brutal for him to wait that long.
It wasn't Greenberg, because Greenberg was poking him, saying your streak's about to end. But listen, Jason's awesome at this. He's awesome at the whole process. He trusts the board. He trusts the work that his scouts and the whole department has put in. And we're not going to trade just to trade, obviously. So love to keep the streak alive, but just didn't fall that way, and we just concentrate on picking good players wherever we can get them.
You've worked with them for so many years. What is the singular best trait that identified in Jason Licht as someone who leads the war room?
Probably humility. I mean, it's not about him. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that have his job. It's a big job in the football world. I mean, I think you could see today or over the weekend, like 300,000 people show up a day. Like, I mean, it's the biggest of the biggest. And there's a lot of people, I think, that get in this arena and they lose themselves, they lose who they are, and they lose what got them there. And it's not what he's about. I mean, he's just humble and trusts us and empowers us to help him do his job at a really good level. And, you know, as a person that works for somebody, like, that makes you want to work harder for him. You know, he values everyone's opinion. He listens. You know, and at the end of the day, like, he's going to make the pick that he thinks is best for the Bucs, and that's his job. But I think for all of us, that when he does that, we know that he's taken our opinion into account. And we trust him, and it's easy to get on board with that. You know, whether or not I agree with the player, whether or not our scouts agree with the pick, like, we know we've been heard. We know he's allowed us to do our job, and now he's our guy. So let's go do it.
John, you read a lot of names a minute ago, and a lot of you guys have been together for a while. You know,
I think we're the stablest front office in the NFL. I mean,
and so, you know, continuity everywhere else in the NFL usually wins, right? Whether it's quarterback, coach, that sort of thing. How much is the continuity helping you guys now? And do you have a feeling when you get to this day that, like, yeah, we nailed that one. We got exactly the kind of players we wanted?
I think when you go to set up a scouting department, the goal is to have everybody speak the same language, whether we're talking about grades or character or what are we looking for in a player. Like, the goal is to, when you walk into a draft room or draft meeting, we all know what we're supposed to be looking at and doing and talking about and focusing on. And the continuity that we've had now for, I mean, I'm going to my 9th season, and I feel like I'm one of the lowest tenured people on the staff sometimes. So, you know, I just think we all understand exactly what we're supposed to do. We understand the way that we're doing this, the kind of player we're looking for, both on the field and off the field. And it allows us to just do your job at a level that is hard otherwise, that the volatility makes it, if you're just changing this person out and this person out and this coach out, it's, you know, that's probably been our biggest challenge, is just, you know, we have Dave, we're doing something good, and he leaves, and we have Liam here, so it keeps it fresh a little bit. But from a scouting standpoint, we understand who does what, when you do it. And Jason and I were actually just talking upstairs when we were doing free agency, like, this feels like the least chaotic that it's been in a long time. And I don't know, I kind of missed the chaos, but at the same time, it was kind of nice to, everyone's just kind of doing their thing, and we're getting good players. So,
John, the schedule hasn't come out yet. You guys aren't playing a game tomorrow. You look at the depth chart. Matt Filer and Aaron Stinney are gone. They man the left guard position. Graham Barton ends up being the center. Talk about the left guard, the available candidates right now on the roster, which you have to work with now. You might add somebody else later, but from that, your in-house group, what does that left guard position look like in terms of the competition? Who's going to be in the mix there?
Well, I think the whole interior is kind of up for grabs. I mean, obviously Graham and Cody are going to factor into that somewhere. You know, we obviously moved Cody from the left tackle at North Dakota State to right. I mean, could we move him back to left? We could. Depends on who feels comfortable where. Graham's played center and left tackle, but, I mean, he could play guard if it shakes out a certain way, obviously with Bredesen and Sua and Klein now, and we still like Robert Hainsey a lot. I mean, he's played a lot of good football around here. Brandon Walton. I mean, I think I look at it from a standpoint of, we've got great competition in that room, which I think always elevates the level of play of the players that matter the most. You know, who's going to rise to the occasion? I mean, who knows how it's going to shake out? And the fact that we could move these different parts, different places, you know, we'll just let the guys compete, and we'll plug and play the guys that do the best wherever it is. We've got the 2 bookend tackles right now, and then the rest of it is who wants it the most. And, you know, we'll be excited to see that competition.
Can you talk about Bucky Irving, his strengths really, and where you think his fit is in this offense?
Well, he is a super instinctive runner with great feet, really good toughness, really high character. You know, he's good in the pass game. He's an efficient, productive runner. I just think he brings a lot to the table. He's just a good football player, you know, and people focus on the size and the speed is, 4.56 is what we have on him. It's not elite, but it's not slow. But all he does is get yards, and he scores touchdowns, and he's hard to get down in space. And, he's just another player that defenses have to focus on and figure out, like, how do we get this guy on the ground? Which, to me, running backs, that's the biggest thing. Like, whether you run 4.30 or 4.70, the ones that defenses have the hardest time getting on the ground for a myriad of reasons are the best ones. And he's like that.
You guys got so much younger last year as
Mm-hmm.
a team, had such a rookie presence. He was 13 on the first 53. To have that many young guys back, does it make it harder for rookies to make this team, to impact this team in the fall?
Maybe a little bit, but
In a good way.
in a good way, yeah. It's just kind of what I talked about before. It's more competition, and I don't really think anybody in this organization cares where you came from or how you got here. I mean, it's just about how can you be a great Buck? How can you be that man? And how can you help us win on Sundays? And, I think that's one of the great things probably about for Jason going to year 11. He's earned that. And so we're not scared to admit a mistake, and we're not going to compound the mistake by kicking the can down the road. It's just, are you good enough to play? And, we're also not scared to play young players, which we proved last year too, which I think is a major testament to the coaches, because they got to get those young kids ready and they got to produce at a high level, and there can't be mistakes out there, and that can be tough to do. But, there is an excitement that youth brings to it too. There's like a little bit of a trepidation, I suppose, too, because you haven't seen it before. But when you have the right person, I think I said this last night, the right person and the right skill level, there's a confidence that comes from that. And I think our college scouts and the draft will prove that we did a good job of that again.
You can't address all positions. With outside cornerback, I know you already you took a nickel, but outside cornerback, along the lines of like what Scott had asked, like how do you see that room kind of shaking up right now? And I know you did make some additions in free agency,
Yeah.
like with Bryce Hall. Tierra Thomas is, I guess, considered more of a nickel, but just kind of how do you see that room shaking out, with Zion McCollum now
Yeah.
kind of being the next in line?
Well, we're obviously super excited about Zion. He did a lot of really good things last year, and his size, his athleticism, his intelligence, his willingness to work and be a good player is something that stood out to us. And I thought he played really good football last year. And we asked him to do a lot of different things. And so if we can just let him settle in a spot, I think it's even better. We're excited about Josh Hayes. I mean, here's a kid who led the NFL in special teams tackles last year. I mean, it doesn't get talked about very much, but he led the NFL in combined special teams tackles. And he's a good football player. He's tough. He's willing to hustle. He can run. He can do a lot of the things you're looking for. Bryce Hall's been somebody we've looked at for a long time. Ron McCartney every year is like, could this guy be a trade candidate? Because he played good football, but he got stuck behind Sauce and DJ Reed, and they just didn't get hurt, so he didn't get a chance to play. So, we're excited about a lot of these guys, and again, you can't fix, like you said, Jenna, you can't fix everything in the draft, and but we have a belief and a confidence in the guys that are in that locker room right now that they can play at the level we need them to play at to be successful.
And do you think the outside is Hayes' home now, do you think? Because I know he's jumped around as well.
Yeah, I think that's, when we were talking through a little bit today with Adon Tyke and where's Josh fit in, I think that's probably where he's going to go right now. And, I mean, he's big, he can run, he can tackle, he's tough. He's got a chance out there. Well, he's got to go prove it, but he's done a lot of good stuff.
Just like you said, you can't fill all your needs in one draft, but after the draft, in undrafted free agency, is there a particular position that you're targeting, whether it's just you need some more training camp guys at certain positions to fill up the depth chart? Was there an area or two that you're focusing on undrafted free agency?
I think we're in a pretty good spot as a roster right now. We got a couple spots that we probably paid a little bit more attention to. It could be tough, though. I mean, you can't always get everybody you want, and like the way we see it, if we think we're thin here, and I'm not going to answer the question you want me to answer it, but like if we think we're thin here, like guys don't always see it that way. So at the end of the day, we're just looking for good football players. And what we've kind of found is when you get into free agency, the high character kids, the competitive kids who football means the most to, they're the ones that stick. And you want those. You don't want the trade kids that fell because of character, but they can run. They just don't work. And so we really focus more on the person, and adding them to a room where it's like, I mean, we focus on position. We're trying to fill the roster out in a way that it makes sense, but we're not just going to take guys. No different than the draft, I don't think. We're going to take guys that we think are good football players that fit what we do here.
I was gonna ask you the same thing about Culp, you know, his strengths and his fit on this roster. Where do you think that he'll be utilized most in Cohen's scheme?
I think he's probably more of an F, given his size and his speed, but he is a functional blocker both on the ball and as a move guy as well, because he does have more strength than you would expect for a guy of his frame. And I think a lot of these offenses now, we're going to play a lot of 11, obviously, so, you know, it'll be Cade or Payne, Coe, Devin, they'll all compete in there. But Devin would be the fastest of the group, and so he's one of those guys to me, if you can get him the ball running in space, which this offense kind of wants to do, he can be an issue, because you got a 6'3", 240-pound guy running 4.47. That's hard to tackle. Like, DBs don't want to tackle that guy all the time. So, you know, we're just excited to get him in here and compete. And again, he comes from a great program. You can count on those kids. So we expect that from him.
Did you become a better running team this weekend, do you think?
I think we did. I absolutely think we did. I think when you get a player of the caliber of Graham, and then you add a kind of a road grade mentality like Elijah, and then what Bucky can do, you know, I think we can be a lot better. I think we need to be a lot better. You know, we've got to be more balanced. We've got to have people respect our run game. I think that should be the goal of every offense, personally. I mean, I'm not a coach, but I always felt like when I played, if you lined up and you didn't know if it was run or pass, that made your job a lot harder as a defense, and that's the goal.
With McMillan, it seems like he has like a little more of that stop and go ability, maybe a little more ability horizontally, or you know, on some of those crossers. I mean, is that an aspect of this offense that maybe you know, could certainly grow with him being in there, and the fact that he can line up different spots?
Yeah, I just think the speed and the athleticism and the route running that he brings is something that we want in all of our receivers too. And not that Trey and Rock and DT didn't have it, but it's just another good player that is a good receiver, brings to the equation. So again, we're just about adding good players, and we expect him to be a part of that.
John, I think after the draft you have 13 or 14 spots under
Yeah.
the 90. Is there a number for how many undrafted guys you'd like to add?
Yeah, we would like to. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head right now. I got so many numbers spinning in my head, Greg, but it's 14, 15, I think. We're trying to get it to 90, you know, and so sometimes guys have a late night change, and, you know, you wake up on Sunday morning, we're like, we lost these two guys, they decide to go somewhere else. You know, it happens. So we'll get this thing to 90 really soon. We actually get 91 because of Lorenz Metz. So extra spot because we've got a German on the team, but that's we'll be locked and loaded and ready to go for rookie minicamp here in a couple of weeks.
Is that next week or the week after?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yep.
Thank you so much, John.
Appreciate y'all.